Hi everyone, today I'm going to make something out of a walnut. It's simple enough for kids to try as a summer vacation project. Let's get started. First, carefully split the walnut in half. It came apart much more cleanly than I expected. Next, use a rotary tool to slowly carve out the inside and refine the shape. Switch to a small diamond bit and carefully drill into the rim of the walnut. The important thing here is not to drill all the way through. Take your time and remove a little at a time. Once the pilot hole is ready, widen it with a drill. After that, embed a neodymium magnet. Next, stack another magnet of the same size on top. Apply some slow drying paint to it. When you close the walnut, the exact position transfers to the other half. It's a simple but very accurate way to mark the position. Drill the matching hole in the same way and embed another magnet. Now install the magnet in the other half. Be very careful about the magnet's polarity. The key is to insert it with the black paint facing inward. Check each one carefully as you work. And now it closes perfectly. Secure it tightly with masking tape so it won't open during the next step. Now make the holes for the infrared LEDs. If you remove the material gradually, it isn't too difficult. Here, I'm making the opening for the USB connector. I'm doing this now so I can charge it and upload new firmware later. Now let's build the electronic circuit. I'm using a MOS FET to drive several infrared LEDs at high power. I've always called it MOS FET, but a lot of people pronounce it MOSFET, right? Which pronunciation do you use? Let me know in the comments. Since space is very limited, I chose surface mount components. I modified a small adapter board so the resistor could be mounted on it too. And for the first time in my life, I tried solder paste. It was much more convenient than I expected. I used a 4.7 ohm resistor. At this value, the LED is actually driven above its rated current. I didn't have a more suitable resistor, so I accepted the risk and used it. That would be a problem if the LEDs stayed on continuously, but these are only brief pulses, so they worked fine. Glue the completed FET board inside the walnut. These are the infrared LEDs I'll be using. I'm adding diffuser caps to them. You may think they're meant to widen the beam, but that's not actually the reason. They're purely for appearance. You'll understand if you try it, but when bare LEDs are embedded in a walnut, it looks exactly like a lotus seed pod. It looked so unsettling that I quickly decided to add diffuser caps. If you've never seen a lotus seed pod up close, you may regret looking it up. Anyway, back to the project. Secure the LEDs from behind with glue. I was a little worried they might come loose, but they held up fine in actual use. Next, connect the LEDs with magnet wire. Thin, flexible magnet wire is extremely useful in such a tight space. For areas that repeatedly bend, such as the hinge, use ordinary insulated wire instead. Here, I'm soldering a surface mount LED directly to its resistor. Connecting the parts without a circuit board saves space. The magnet wire is connected directly in the same way. Once assembly is complete, test it with power. It was brighter than expected, so I thought I might have used the wrong resistor. The measured current was about 14 milliamps. That matched my calculation, which was a relief. Next, solder magnet wires to the tactile switch. This is the main microcontroller. I used an ESP32C3 from Seed Studio. This is the infrared receiver module. Since there's very little space, I'm gluing it directly onto the microcontroller. Glue the tactile switch and LED in place as well, then connect everything with magnet wire. From here, there's quite a bit more magnet wire routing. For a while, just enjoy watching the assembly. The main components are now wired. After going to all this trouble to use a walnut, a dangling power cable would be disappointing. So I decided to install a 300 mAh lithium-polymer battery. By calculation, it should stay on standby for about a week. Of course, that's only a prototype estimate, so the actual power consumption still needs to be tested. The battery pads are right next to each other, which makes them easy to short. So I mask and insulate the area while soldering. Even a momentary short could damage the battery. The infrared LEDs draw a fairly high current, so they are powered directly from the battery. Again, I keep everything insulated to prevent a short circuit. Pin D3 is used to control the infrared LEDs. I had a spare I/O pin, so on a whim, I decided to add a temperature sensor too. I'm adding a capacitor to reduce noise. Once it's wired, glue the temperature sensor inside the walnut. And this is the Wi-Fi antenna that came with the microcontroller. It has an adhesive backing, so I attached it inside the walnut. Since the metal section is exposed, I covered it with insulating tape. Next, secure the battery with thick double-sided tape. Then add a protective plastic plate over it. This also provides physical protection for the battery. Finally, wire the temperature sensor and secure the microcontroller itself. Somehow, it all fit. The USB connector is positioned correctly too. It looks like I can charge it and upload new firmware without taking it apart. Now I'll upload the firmware I created. An assembly manual including this firmware is available on my website. It also includes technical details omitted from the video, so if you're interested, I hope you'll consider buying it and supporting the channel. The upload is complete. Up to this point, I've deliberately kept the purpose of this project a secret. By now, some of you may have figured out what I'm making. To test it, I'll try controlling this desktop fan. The image at the bottom right was recorded with an infrared camera. It makes normally invisible infrared light visible. When I use the remote, you can clearly see the LED flashing. That's right, it's a smart remote control. Now let's start up the smart remote I built. When powered on, it automatically connects to the configured Wi-Fi network and opens a web interface. Open the web interface on a smartphone and teach it IR commands. You can set up almost any appliance that uses an infrared remote. Here, I added power, fan speed up, fan speed down, and oscillation. Those are the 4 commands I set up. You can freely change the devices, functions, and number of commands. It's designed to control many devices, including air conditioners, televisions, and lights. Once setup is complete, everything can be controlled from a smartphone. Let's try it. It responds perfectly. Even though it's controlled over Wi-Fi, the response is surprisingly quick. The infrared output is also stronger than that of a normal remote, so it can be operated from almost anywhere in the room. Because it sends infrared light in 4 directions, you don't need to aim it precisely at the appliance. Let's check the temperature sensor too. It shows almost the same temperature as this commercial thermometer. With the project mostly finished, I went to the beach for a swim. The weather was perfect for it. In fact, this trip was what inspired the Smart Remote project. In summer, a closed room can become surprisingly hot while you're away. At times like that, being able to start the air conditioner before coming home is very convenient. The microcontroller's temperature sensor also lets you check the room temperature. If the room is already cool, there's no need to run it, which also saves energy. Turning lights on and off remotely can also help with home security. By changing the firmware, you could even start the air conditioner automatically based on room temperature. You could simply buy a commercial product, but then you'd miss the fun of building it yourself. Here, I'm turning on my home air conditioner while I'm away. It was 27 degrees Celsius by the sea, but a scorching 38 degrees outside at home, and the smart remote showed 35 degrees indoors. So I turned on the air conditioner before heading home. Being able to control it remotely like this is extremely convenient. This footage shows power consumption being measured during the prototype stage. The smart remote wakes from sleep every 5 minutes to check for commands. Power consumption briefly rises, but if there's no command, it returns to sleep within a few seconds. Over a continuous 24-hour test, it consumed 47 mAh. That means a 300 mAh battery should run it for about 6 days. Still, this walnut version was made purely for fun. If it needs charging every week, leaving it connected by USB would be more practical. So, somewhat defeating the purpose, I built the practical version I really wanted. The number of LEDs was increased to 4. I also redesigned the LED driver circuit, which I had pushed a little too hard in the prototype, so it now runs safely within its rated limits. I designed and 3D printed the case with airflow in mind. The case no longer affects the temperature sensor, allowing more accurate room readings. I built this entire smart remote from scratch, including the firmware, cloud API, and web interface. A manual containing the firmware, circuit diagram, and assembly instructions is available on my website. It includes details I couldn't cover in the video, so take a look if you'd like to build one yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I also welcome electronics ideas and requests for things you'd like me to build. That's all for this time. Thank you very much for watching to the end.